The moment my quiet Friday night was interrupted, I knew life had officially jumped off the rails. One second I was sprawled on my couch with a half-eaten pizza and a beer, the next there was a crashing thud, a shower of sparks, and a very flustered alien princess staring at me like I had personally insulted her entire galaxy. She was tall, regal, and absurdly, well, sculpted in all the wrong ways to make a human not notice. And of course, she spoke with that melodramatic alien accent, declaring, "You must satisfy me. It is sacred." I blinked again. My brain tried to translate this from alien royal decree to human logic, which, unsurprisingly, failed miserably. Satisfy you? Like with a sandwich? I ventured. She tilted her head, eyes narrowing, and I realized sandwiches were going to get me nowhere fast. Her gaze was the kind of intense that made your skeleton rethink its career choices. She stepped closer, and my brain did that stupid, useless human thing where it completely stops functioning. No, not that. You know. Performed the sacred ritual. I swallowed hard, desperately hoping she didn't mean what I thought she meant. But judging by the way her breathing changed and the way she held her hands, yeah? Oh, yeah? Definitely. I tried to play it cool. Smooth human confidence, right? Ha! I fumbled for words. Sacred ritual? Like yoga? Meditation? She blinked. Then scoffed. A sound like shattering crystal mixed with indignation. Human! Your species is hopelessly literal. The ritual is... She waved her hands dramatically. Of the most intimate and gratifying nature. Surely you can grasp this. I nodded enthusiastically and immediately regretted it. Apparently grasping was literal in this context too. Somewhere behind me, my curiosity and courage collided disastrously when I accidentally leaned on her spaceship control panel. Suddenly, the entire apartment shifted, lights flickered, the couch levitated, and my cat shot across the room like a furry missile. The princess squealed, flailing gracefully, which somehow made the whole situation infinitely more suggestive. I froze, realizing this wasn't just awkward first date territory anymore. This was a cosmic disaster dressed in shimmering royal garb. She pointed at me, voice low and teasing. Human, do you intend to satisfy me, or merely amuse yourself? I gulped, wishing my ancestors had prepared me for interstellar seduction. Attempting to regain control, I thought maybe mimicking her ritual gestures would help. I raised a hand, flexed a finger, muttered some nonsense that sounded vaguely spiritual, and immediately triggered the spaceship's holographic projection. Suddenly, a dozen tiny alien pets appeared, bouncing and flopping over each other, making a chorus of squeaks that sounded suspiciously like laughter. The princess glared, her eyes narrowing into laser beams of judgment, and muttered, "You are beyond human comprehension." I panicked. I can fix it. Totally fixable. But as I lunged for the controls, I tripped over a floating cushion, spun around, and somehow smacked my head on the princess's shoulder. She gasped, placing a hand dramatically on her chest, which made my brain short-circuit again because yes, it was exactly as scandalous as it felt. Somehow, amidst the sparks, bouncing pets, and zero-gravity furniture, I got the sense that she was beginning to enjoy herself. There was amusement there. And frustration. And something else, maybe admiration? Or maybe she was just laughing at me. Honestly, it was hard to tell. Her voice cut through the chaos, sultry and sharp. Human, your species may be laughable, but perhaps there is hope. Show me, truly, that you can satisfy me. Or continue amusing me forever. I swallowed, trembling, and realized that tonight, my ordinary human life had just been upgraded to a full-blown cosmic comedy, with very adult consequences. I took a deep breath, trying to convince myself that humans could handle interstellar sexual diplomacy, and immediately failed. The princess hovered just out of reach, her arms crossed, eyes glittering with amusement and something dangerously close to expectation. Human, your hesitation offends me. Begin the ritual. she commanded, voice low, almost purring, like a threat wrapped in silk. I nodded and tried to channel my inner seducer, which, for me, was basically flailing with hope. I mimicked the gestures she had made earlier, waving my arms in what I thought was an alluring pattern, chanting gibberish that sounded ritualistic. And that's when the first disaster hit. I accidentally triggered the spaceship's pleasure enhancement mode. The floor vibrated like a massage gone rogue, lights pulsed in neon pinks and blues, and I swear the holographic pets started doing things. Things that made me question my understanding of physics and morality. The princess's eyes widened, and a laugh escaped her lips, sharp, high-pitched, and entirely unhuman. Human! You've activated the preliminary sensations already. Impressive, and utterly uncoordinated. Her words were like whipped cream with a razor blade, sweet and cutting at the same time. I swallowed nervously, watching her hover closer as if to inspect my failures firsthand. Desperate, I attempted to follow her instructions more precisely. She pointed at one of the holographic controls and said, "Stroke the crystal." With intention. I glanced at the glowing orb, unsure if she meant my hands or something else. My fingers barely grazed it when the device shot sparks, lifting me off the ground in zero gravity. I spun helplessly, limbs flailing like noodles caught in a tornado. The princess snorted, floating effortlessly beside me, clearly entertained. Human ingenuity, or is it panic? Either way, amusing. I tried to maneuver, but in my disoriented state, I knocked into one of the alien pets, sending it bouncing across the room. It collided with a console, triggering another round of chaotic lights and sounds, some of which I was fairly sure were coded to stimulate pleasure. The combination of panic, floating furniture, and alien tech made me feel like I was starring in a very wrong, very adult circus. "Human," she said, voice dripping with teasing sarcasm. "My people value stamina. Will you last longer than your species usually falters?" I blinked, and my brain immediately froze at the double entendre. I try my best?" I offered lamely. She laughed again, low and throaty, shaking her head. "Your best? Delightful. Truly, I have never been so entertained, and so aroused, by such clumsy creatures." That did not help my confidence, but it did something else, something dangerous. I realized that my fumbling attempts, combined with the ridiculousness of her expectations, were somehow starting to turn her on. The absurdity of humans attempting alien sacred rituals seemed effective, in the most unexpected way. Determined to regain control, I grabbed what looked like a ceremonial wand but was really a multipurpose spaceship tool. I pointed it, waved it, accidentally pressed a button that made the room fill with holographic confetti and erotic alien symbols. The princess gasped, fluttering her hands over her chest, and then smirked, clearly impressed by my chaos. By the time the floating cushions started circling us like planets in orbit, and one alien pet latched onto my leg with alarming enthusiasm, I realized something critical. Humans were terrible at these rituals, yes, but maybe that was exactly what the princess wanted. She wanted unpredictability, audacity, and complete disaster, all things humans delivered spectacularly. Her voice dropped to a sultry whisper. "Human, continue. Show me how your species satisfies through chaos." My stomach twisted, my face burned, but a spark of confidence ignited. Maybe, just maybe, my ineptitude was the secret weapon. As I prepared for the next round of interstellar absurdity, I couldn't help but wonder, how much worse could it possibly get, and how much fun would we have getting there? I thought I had a handle on the chaos. I was wrong. Very, very wrong. The princess's eyes glimmered with a mix of amusement and something dangerously suggestive as she floated closer, tapping her fingers against the control panel like a conductor about to unleash a symphony of absurdity. "Human, I grow impatient. Show me the depth of your resourcefulness." Resourcefulness? I barely had coordination. I raised a hand, gestured vaguely, and pressed the button that I thought might help, only to trigger a cascade of lights that turned the apartment into a flashing Technicolor playground. Holographic duplicates of the princess appeared, each one mimicking my every floundering move, smirking in unison. "Ah," she said, her voice layered over each clone. "Now I see why humans are entertaining. So eager. So incompetent. So potentially satisfying." I swallowed hard, trying to think fast, and tripped over a floating cushion, sending myself hurtling toward a console. Somehow, in the most improbable combination of luck and panic, I managed to grab a wand-like tool from the spaceship and pointed it at the largest hologram. A beam shot out, disintegrating it into a cloud of glittering alien goo that landed with alarming intimacy on my chest. The princess gasped and then laughed, that melodic, teasing sound that made my ears burn and my brain short-circuit. "Human, you are peculiar. And yet fascinating. Keep going," she instructed, voice low and sultry, leaning just close enough that I could feel her presence in a way that made simple physics suddenly seem erotic. I nodded furiously, trying to muster confidence, but my next move was ill-advised. I attempted to follow one of her gestures exactly, waving the tool in a precise pattern, and somehow triggered a zero-gravity spin mode. Furniture, holograms, alien pets, and my dignity all whirled around the room in a chaotic ballet. The princess floated in the midst of it, eyes wide with glee. "Oh! Such chaos! Such human spirit! You are unpredictable, which is precisely what I desire," she teased, brushing past me in a way that made my heart race and my brain invent words that did not exist. "Your species may fail spectacularly, but there is potential in your foolishness." I took a deep breath, realizing that the only way to survive this, let alone impress her, was to embrace the chaos fully. I grabbed an alien artifact shaped like a crystal wand, spun it around, and accidentally activated the Intensify Sensations mode. Sparks flew, holographic images shimmered, and one very persistent alien pet latched itself to my leg, squeaking insistently. The princess's laughter filled the room, a mixture of delight and mild horror. She hovered close, voice dripping with both mockery and desire. "Human, truly your species is a marvel. The way you fumble, the way you improvise, it is intoxicating." I felt heat rise to my face, realizing she was enjoying every mistake, every flail, every ridiculous blunder. Somehow, my incompetence had become an art form in her eyes. Determined not to collapse entirely, I improvised, using a broom like a makeshift guide to corral the holograms and pets, creating a bizarre, chaotic rhythm that somehow mimicked the ritual's intent. The princess gasped, a high, musical sound that made my ears burn hotter than a supernova. "Yes, yes! This is delightful! I did not expect your species to wield such accidental genius!" And in that moment, as sparks, pets, and floating furniture danced around us, I realized something important. Humans may be clumsy, chaotic, and absurdly literal, but sometimes, just sometimes, that was exactly what an alien princess wanted. She wasn't seeking perfection. She was seeking unpredictability, audacity, and courage, all things humans delivered spectacularly, if messily. Her gaze met mine, intense and sultry. "Human, continue. Let us see if your species can truly satisfy through chaos." My chest tightened, a mix of fear, anticipation, and excitement flooding me. I swallowed and nodded, ready to embrace the next round of interstellar absurdity, knowing full well that nothing could prepare me for what was coming next. By the time I steadied myself, the room was a disaster zone of floating furniture, holographic duplicates, and alien pets tangled in my legs. I took a deep breath, realizing this was my moment, the humans are terrible but effective in their own way moment. The princess hovered above me, radiant and amused, eyes gleaming with both challenge and expectation. "Human, show me the true extent of your species' ability to satisfy," she commanded, voice sultry, teasing, and vaguely threatening all at once. I swallowed and decided to trust the one thing humans had in abundance: improvisation. I grabbed a random floating artifact, a crystalline rod that probably had a dozen unknown functions, and waved it with confidence, hoping sheer audacity would impress her. Sparks flew. Holograms shimmered and swirled around us. One particularly persistent alien pet latched onto the princess's sash, causing her to squeal in surprise, which, admittedly, made the entire moment highly erotic and absurdly funny. "Human, you are unpredictable. Continue," she whispered, voice low and teasing. I nodded, feeling my heart hammer in my chest, and with a deep breath, I began combining every chaotic element in the room, holograms, pets, and tools all synchronized into an absurd, improvised rhythm. The princess watched, eyes wide, mouth slightly open, clearly impressed by the accidental genius unfolding before her. I made the final move, holding the crystalline rod aloft, pointing it at her holographic duplicates, and flipping a switch that sent a cascade of colorful sparks through the room. The duplicates evaporated in shimmering clouds, the alien pets shrieked in delight, or protest, and the princess gasped, placing her hand dramatically on her chest. "Human, remarkable! I did not expect your species to wield such chaotic mastery." I coughed, trying to act nonchalant while internally questioning how my incompetence had turned into interstellar seduction. She floated closer, brushing against me in a way that made my knees wobble. "Your species is amusing, messy, and utterly incapable of subtlety. And yet, it works. You have satisfied the ritual in a way no human or alien ever has." I blinked. I did. My voice cracked because yes, apparently my haphazard flailing, panicked gestures, and zero-gravity mishaps had achieved the impossible. The princess smiled, a slow, mischievous curve of her lips. "Indeed. Sometimes perfection is overrated. Sometimes chaos is exquisite." I dared a grin, realizing that all my fumbling had been rewarded. My chest swelled with pride, and I could almost feel my confidence growing with every spark, every floating pet, every ridiculous improvised maneuver. The princess's laughter, melodic and teasing, filled the air, making the room feel alive, erotic, and absurd all at once. "Human, perhaps your species is not entirely hopeless," she said, floating even closer, her voice a blend of mockery, desire, and admiration. "You have courage, ingenuity, chaos, and apparently, stamina." My face heated at the double entendre, but I stood a little taller, embracing the absurdity of it all. Just when I thought the madness had reached its peak, the spaceship emitted a low beep. I froze, expecting another disaster, but instead, the holographic confetti rained down gently, settling around us like sparkling snow. The alien pets tumbled over themselves, finally exhausted, and the room floated gently back into a semblance of order. The princess smirked, clearly satisfied, though the gleam of playful mischief in her eyes suggested our adventures were far from over. She leaned in close, voice soft but teasing. "Human, you have survived, and perhaps even thrived, in my sacred ritual. I may yet return for more instruction." My brain short-circuited, heart thudding, and a slow grin spread across my face. Somehow, I had turned disaster into triumph, chaos into satisfaction, and sheer incompetence into interstellar allure. I laughed nervously, realizing that life as a human had just been upgraded to an entirely new, absurd, and very adult level. And the princess? She hovered beside me, radiant, amused, and ready to see what other improbable disasters and pleasures my species could offer.